There's something powerful about silence. Not the silence of fear or surrender, but the kind of silence that comes from strength when you know who you are and you don't need to prove it to anyone. Especially when you're dealing with people who don't respect you, even your own family, silence can become your greatest weapon. You see, when people think they can tear you down with their words, with their attitude, with their disregard, they're expecting a reaction. They're expecting you to break, to lash out, to fall apart so they can justify the way they treated you. But when you don't give them that reaction, when you remain still, when you let your silence speak, it unsettles them more than your words ever could. The Bible says even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent. Why? Because silence reveals control. It reveals restraint. And that kind of restraint, that doesn't come from weakness. That comes from spiritual maturity. That comes from knowing deep in your soul that your identity is not based on who accepts you, but on who created you. And when you know who you belong to, you don't have to fight for a seat at someone else's table. You don't have to chase people down and beg them to respect you, whether they're a parent, a sibling, or someone who shares your bloodline. It doesn't matter. If they can't see the value in you, that's not your burden to carry. The truth is, some of the deepest pain in life doesn't come from strangers, it comes from the people closest to you. It's one thing when the world disrespects you, but when it's your own family, that cuts differently. It feels personal, it feels like betrayal, and everything in you wants to respond. Everything in you wants to shout, "Don't you see what I've done? Don't you see how I've been there for you? Don't you see how I tried?" But friend, listen to me, your healing does not come from making them understand. It comes from surrendering the need to be understood. You've got to come to a place where you say, "God, I don't get why they treat me like this. I don't know why I'm not enough for them, but I trust that you see it all. You know my heart, and you will defend me in the silence." And He will. Oh, He will. God doesn't miss a single tear. He sees when they belittle you. He sees when they talk about you behind your back. He sees when they ignore your presence as if it carries no weight. And He will deal with it not on your timeline, but on His. Your job is to stay still and let Him be God. Because silence doesn't mean you're avoiding conflict. It means you're choosing peace. It means you've outgrown the need to be loud, to be heard. It means your spirit is anchored, not shaken. You don't have to argue with someone who's committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to explain yourself to someone who only listens to respond, not to understand. Sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing. Not in anger, but in confidence. And that's hard, I know it is. Especially when your silence is taken as weakness. When they say, "You don't speak up because you're scared." No, you don't speak because you're free. There's a quiet kind of power that comes when you walk away without slamming the door. When you stop chasing closure and let God be the one to close that chapter for you. And He will. When you stop needing their respect to validate your worth, you start living from a place of unshakable peace. A peace that passes all understanding. A peace that doesn't make sense to the people around you because they can't comprehend the strength it takes to remain calm when everything around you feels unfair. But let me tell you something, it's in that silence that God speaks. It's in that stillness that He whispers, "You are mine. You are not what they say you are. You are not your rejection. You are not your family's failure to see you. You are chosen. You are loved. And I've set you apart." So don't let disrespect pull you into a storm of noise. Don't let their chaos infect your calm. Let them wonder why you're not responding. Let them wonder why you're not pleading. You don't have to react because God is watching. And when God watches, He also moves. He is the defender of the silent, the shield of the misunderstood, the voice for the voiceless, And if he's for you, who can be against you? Stay silent, stay steady, stay anchored, because the one who truly matters, he hears everything they don't say, and he honors everything you don't have to prove. That's enough. Respect doesn't start with other people, it starts with you. The way you carry yourself, the way you protect your peace, the way you draw the line and say, this is where I end and you begin, that's how you teach others how to treat you. And sometimes the most difficult people to draw those lines with are the ones who are closest to you. People you've grown up with, people who share your name, your story, your blood. But let me tell you this, family ties are no excuse for repeated disrespect. Love does not mean you give others permission to keep wounding you. Love does not mean you become the mat that everyone wipes their feet on. Love is boundaries. And if it doesn't, it's not love, it's fear, it's guilt, it's obligation. There comes a time when you have to stop asking yourself, why do they keep doing this to me? And start asking, why do I keep allowing it? Because when someone disrespects you once, it's on them. But when they keep doing it, and you keep allowing it without consequence, that becomes a pattern. That becomes permission. And hear me, God didn't call you to be anyone's punching bag. He didn't create you to live in constant tension and emotional exhaustion, tiptoeing around people just to keep the peace. That's not peace, that's survival. That's bondage. And God came to set you free. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is say no. No to the drama. No to the manipulation. No to the emotional blackmail. No to the guilt trips dressed up as family values. And I know what you're thinking. But if I pull away, they'll say I'm selfish. They'll say I've changed. Good, let them talk. Let them say what they will, because you have changed. You've grown. You've come too far to keep shrinking to fit into places you've outgrown. Boundaries don't make you bitter, they keep you from becoming bitter. They don't mean you hate someone, they mean you love yourself enough to protect your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And when you draw those lines, not everyone's going to like it. But the truth is, their discomfort doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it means you're finally doing something right. God will never ask you to sacrifice your sanity for someone else's comfort. Yes, He calls us to forgive, to love, to extend grace. But forgiveness doesn't mean access. Grace doesn't mean you let them walk all over you. And love, real love, tells the truth. Real love says, I can no longer allow you to keep hurting me just because we share a last name. Real love doesn't hide behind silence. It speaks with clarity, with kindness, and with firmness. And sometimes it says, I love you, but I can't continue like this. You see, when you set boundaries, you're not being cruel, you're being clear. You're saying, this is what I need to feel safe. This is what I need to be whole. This is what I need to walk in peace. And when someone truly loves you, they won't see that as rejection. They'll respect it. But if they don't respect it, if they get angry when you draw a line, that just means they were benefiting from your lack of one. Some of you have spent years trying to earn respect from people who are committed to disrespecting you. You bend over backwards, you do everything they ask, you shrink yourself, you silence your voice. And still it's not enough. But let me free you from that burden. No matter how much you do, you will never be enough for someone who refuses to see your value. That's not your fault. That's their blindness. And your job is not to fix their vision, it's to protect your soul. You have to come to a point where you stop chasing people's approval and start honoring your own worth. Where you say, I will no longer participate in my own disrespect. That's not pride, that's stewardship. That's honoring what God placed inside of you. That's walking in dignity. And when you start doing that, When you set those boundaries, when you stop apologizing for requiring respect, you'll find a new level of freedom, a peace you didn't know was possible. Because when you respect yourself, you start attracting relationships that reflect that respect. People who honor you. People who listen when you speak. People who don't make you feel like you're too much or not enough. People who love you for who you are, not who they want you to be. And yes, it might mean you lose some people. It might mean the circle gets smaller, but let me tell you, peace is better than popularity. Dignity is better than being liked. And God will always replace what you lose in obedience with something greater in purpose. So draw the line, hold the line, not in anger, but in love, not out of spite, but out of strength. And don't ever feel guilty for respecting yourself enough to walk away from what breaks you. That's enough. Love is one of the most beautiful gifts we can give and receive in this life. But love is not a license for anyone to mistreat you. Sometimes the people closest to us, the ones we call family, love us in their own way, but they don't respect us the way we deserve. And that can hurt deep, because love is supposed to build us up, not tear us down. But here's a truth that can set you free. You can love people without letting them break you. You don't have to stay in a place where you are constantly hurt just because you love them. Sometimes love means stepping back, stepping away, protecting your heart, even if it means loving from a distance. It's hard to hear, I know, especially when it's family and you're taught to stand by your blood no matter what. But standing by doesn't mean standing for everything. It doesn't mean you have to let the disrespect slide or let the pain go unaddressed. You can care deeply about someone and still say, I can't keep letting you treat me this way. Loving someone doesn't mean giving them a free pass to walk all over your dignity. Love that destroys you is not love, it's a chain. And God did not call you to be chained by someone else's inability to respect you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for them is to love from a distance. To say, I'm stepping back so I can heal, so I can grow, so I can be the person God created me to be. Loving from a distance doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It means you're choosing to protect your heart. Because the truth is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give love freely when your own soul is being drained by constant disrespect and hurt. I want you to understand that this kind of love, this protective love, is not selfish. It's survival, it's wisdom. When someone refuses to respect you, no matter how much love you give, you will only find yourself broken over and over again. And that's not what God wants for you. He wants you whole, healed, strong. He wants you to walk in peace, even if that means walking away from toxic relationships. Loving from a distance also gives space for change. Sometimes people need to see the consequences of their actions before they understand the damage they've caused. When you remove yourself from constant harm, you're not punishing them, you're giving them the chance to reflect, to repent, and to grow. But don't hold your breath waiting for change. Sometimes the people we love don't change, and that's their choice, not yours. Your responsibility is to love wisely, love with boundaries, love with courage. Because when you don't protect your heart, you risk losing the very thing that love is supposed to nurture, your peace. And peace is priceless. Peace is a gift from God that no one has the right to steal from you. There is a difference between love that saves and love that enslaves. Love that saves builds you up, lifts you, encourages you to be better. Love that enslaves drains you, diminishes you, makes you question your worth. If the love you're receiving leaves you feeling small, invisible, or disrespected, then it's time to reevaluate. And sometimes reevaluating means creating distance, even if it's painful. You don't have to justify your need to protect yourself. You don't owe anyone an explanation for preserving your peace. And when you love from a distance, you're not closing the door forever. You're simply stepping back until the day comes when respect can be restored. And if that day never comes, that's not a failure on your part. That's a lesson learned. That's wisdom gained. Remember, God's love for you is perfect and unchanging. He loves you fiercely, tenderly, and with a respect that never falters. And He calls you to love others, but never at the cost of your own well-being. You are worthy of respect, worthy of love that honors you, and worthy of relationships that bring peace, not pain. So, love them with all your heart, but don't let them break you. Protect your heart with courage and grace. Walk in freedom, knowing that loving from a distance is sometimes the greatest act of love you can offer, both to yourself and to those who don't yet know how to respect the gift of your presence. That's enough. Sometimes the hardest thing to do when faced with disrespect, especially from those closest to us, is to forgive. Forgiveness isn't easy. It's not a quick fix or a simple choice. It's a process, a journey, and sometimes it feels like a mountain too steep to climb. But forgiveness is not about forgetting what happened or pretending the hurt never existed. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the prison of bitterness and anger. It's about choosing peace over pain, healing over hatred. You might say, but how can I forgive when they don't even apologize? How can I forgive when they keep hurting me? That's a good question. And the answer is not to wait for an apology that may never come. Forgiveness is not contingent on someone else's actions. Forgiveness is your decision. It's your way of saying, I refuse to be held hostage by resentment. I choose to release this burden so I can move forward. Holding on to anger only keeps you chained to the past. It keeps the wounds fresh, the pain alive. But forgiveness breaks those chains. Now, I'm not telling you to let people off the hook or to pretend everything is okay when it's not. Forgiveness doesn't erase justice. It doesn't mean you have to keep the same relationship or trust again right away. Forgiveness is for your own soul's sake. It's a gift you give yourself so you don't carry the heavy load of hate and hurt. Think about Jesus on the cross. He forgave those who wronged him, even as he suffered. He didn't wait for them to say sorry or make things right. He chose forgiveness because he understood that holding on to bitterness would only trap him in pain. And if he could forgive from the place of greatest hurt, surely we can find the strength to forgive those who disrespect us, even within our families. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget the lesson. In fact, forgiveness often teaches us the most profound lessons about who we are and who we want to be. It teaches us humility, patience, and grace. It teaches us to rely on God's justice rather than our own desire for revenge. It teaches us to trust that God sees every injustice, every insult, and that he will one day make all things right. And as hard as forgiveness is, it brings freedom. It brings peace. When you forgive, you stop feeding the fire of anger inside you. You stop giving power to the people who have hurt you. You reclaim your life and your joy. Forgiveness allows you to breathe again. It allows you to live again. It allows you to walk in the light instead of being chained to the darkness of resentment. But forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling. You might not feel ready, and that's okay. Forgiveness often comes one step at a time, one day at a time. Sometimes you have to choose forgiveness every morning when you wake up, and some days it will be harder than others. But keep choosing it. Because forgiveness is the path to healing. It's the bridge that connects pain to peace. And remember, forgiveness doesn't mean you have to expose yourself to more harm. You can forgive and still protect yourself. You can forgive and still keep healthy boundaries. Forgiveness and self-protection can coexist. Forgiveness frees your heart. Boundaries protect your heart. When you forgive those who disrespect you, you don't just set them free, you set yourself free. You break the cycle of hurt. You open the door to healing. And in that healing, you find a deeper strength than anger could ever give you. So I urge you, don't carry the heavy burden of bitterness any longer. Choose forgiveness not for them, but for you. Choose peace. Choose freedom. Choose to let go of what holds you back. That's enough. One of the hardest lessons to learn when dealing with people who don't respect you, especially those closest to you, is the power of silence. We live in a world that tells us to speak up, to defend ourselves, to react quickly when we feel wronged. And there's truth in standing up for yourself, but there's also profound strength in knowing when to remain silent. Silence isn't weakness. Silence isn't submission. Silence can be a fortress, a place of peace, a way to protect your heart and mind from needless battles. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to respond maybe with anger, maybe with words meant to hurt back, maybe with an attempt to explain or justify yourself. But often, reacting gives power to the disrespect. It fuels the fire. It drags you into a conflict that leaves both parties wounded. But silence can be the greatest response. It shows self-control. It shows wisdom. It says, I will not let your words or actions shake my peace. There's a deep biblical truth in the power of silence. We see it in the life of Jesus. When he was falsely accused, mocked, and insulted, he didn't lash out. He kept his silence before his accusers. That silence was a testimony to his strength, his trust in God, and his unwillingness to be drawn into fruitless arguments. He knew that not every battle is worth fighting with words. When you practice silence in the face of disrespect, you refuse to give others the satisfaction of watching you unravel. You refuse to be a puppet in their hands, reacting on their terms. Instead, you take back control of the situation. You decide how you will respond, not in anger or hurt, but with dignity and calm. Silence is a powerful way to say, I am better than this. I will not be dragged down. But silence is not about ignoring injustice or pretending pain doesn't exist. Silence is a strategic choice. It's a way to protect your spirit while you process your feelings, while you pray for wisdom, while you prepare a response that honors your integrity. Sometimes silence is the space where healing begins. There's also something sacred about silence. It allows you to listen to God, to your own heart, to the quiet voice of truth inside you that gets drowned out by noise and conflict. In silence, you find clarity. You find peace. You find the strength to move forward without bitterness. And remember, silence doesn't mean you are weak or that you don't care. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for others is to step back from the fight, to stop engaging with disrespect and to focus on your own healing. When you hold your tongue, you are not denying your pain, you are choosing to guard your heart. There's an old saying, silence is golden. But it's more than a saying, it's a spiritual principle. In silence, you protect your peace. In silence, you show that you will not be controlled by the chaos around you. In silence, you create space for God's peace to fill the gaps where anger and hurt once lived. And over time, those who disrespect you will notice your silence. Some may even respect it, recognizing the strength it takes not to engage in every conflict. Others may be confused or frustrated, but their confusion or frustration is not your problem. Your job is not to explain your silence or justify your peace. Your job is to live in it fully. Silence can also be a form of testimony. It tells others that you value your peace more than their approval. It says, I will not compromise my dignity just to win an argument. It sets a standard for how you expect to be treated, not through words, but through your actions. So the next time someone disrespects you, especially family, try this: breathe deeply, hold your peace, and choose silence. Not because you are afraid, but because you are wise. Not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about your soul's well-being. And if silence feels hard at first, that's okay. Strength is built one moment at a time. Keep choosing peace over conflict. Keep protecting your heart with quiet courage. Remember, sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. That's enough. There comes a time when you have to recognize that not everyone in your life is meant to stay there forever. This is especially hard when it's family, because society tells us family is forever, and we should tolerate anything for the sake of blood. But respect is not optional. And when someone consistently disrespects you, even family, sometimes the most courageous act you can take is to walk away, to set yourself free from the chains of toxic relationships. Walking away doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means you love yourself enough to refuse ongoing harm. It means you understand that your peace, your dignity, your mental and emotional health are worth protecting. Sometimes the greatest act of love you can show to yourself and to them is to say, I will not be part of this cycle anymore. This is not an easy decision. It comes with pain, with guilt, with fear. You might worry about what others will say. You might feel the weight of tradition, the pull of expectation, but God did not create you to be a doormat. He created you to walk in freedom, dignity, and joy. And if walking away is what it takes to preserve that, then that is what you must do. Walking away doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't mean burning bridges or shouting goodbyes. Sometimes it's quiet and calm, a gentle but firm decision to step back. It's choosing distance over conflict, peace over chaos. It's recognizing that some people will only respect you when you refuse to tolerate disrespect. There is strength in knowing your worth. There is strength in protecting your heart. There is strength in saying no to those who tear you down. And that strength comes from God, who reminds you that you are precious, you are valuable, and you deserve respect in every relationship. When you walk away from disrespect, you open space for healing. You open space for new relationships that honor you. You open space for your own growth and peace. Sometimes people only learn to respect us when we show them we won't accept anything less. Sometimes boundaries need to be unmovable for respect to take root. It's important to remember that walking away is not the end of the story. It's a new chapter 1 where you reclaim your power and your peace. It's a chance to surround yourself with people who lift you up instead of tearing you down. It's a chance to walk in the freedom God intended for you. You might wonder if walking away means giving up on family, on reconciliation, on hope. It doesn't. It means you're choosing what is healthiest for you now. It means you're trusting God with the future, with the healing of hearts, with what you cannot control. And sometimes walking away creates the space for those things to happen in their own time. So if you're in a place where disrespect is constant, where love is conditional, where your soul is weary from trying to earn respect that isn't given, hear this: you have permission to walk away. Not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about your well-being. Not because you hate, but because you love yourself enough to say yes to peace. Walking away is not failure. It's faith in God's justice, faith in His timing, faith that He will bring healing and restoration when hearts are ready. It's courage to choose yourself when no one else seems to. It's the strength to protect the sacredness of your own spirit. Remember, No one has the right to disrespect you, even family. And you don't have to stay in a place where disrespect is the norm. You can walk away with dignity, with grace, and with hope. You can step into a future where respect and love coexist, where your heart is safe, and where your soul can breathe freely. That's enough.